Okay, Givaldik. So today is yes. Today is Chulin Pei Ches, and we're starting Taka Pei Ches about 10 lines in. The two dots. Damari this Shalasak in Tanarabonon. So the Mishnah said, what did the Mishnah say? The Mishnah said, Damari Shalasak in Chayev V'Chasos. Yeah. Omer Rabbi Yehuda Eimesai Bisman She'ein Sham Dam Elahu Avu Yesham Dam Sheloihu Pater Milchasis. That is how our Mishnah says, and we have a klal. We have a klal always that every kol makom shamar Rabbi Yehuda Eimesai he's einabel lefarish. He's not coming to be cholik on the Tanakama. However, the Gemara is going to be mavur that the Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda do argue. So that's the shmuz and toisus and how we paskin. It's a big shmuz. Let's see what we could see. The Gemara is going to bring two brises. Taraban v'chisayum melamed. Shada manites v'shala saken chayev lecha. Says Amar Rabbi Yehuda Eimesai Bisman she'ein sham dam elahu avu yesham dam sheloihu pa ba 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 turn. So far it looks like very clear that Rabbi Yehuda is not thinking zachud the Tanakama. Yeah. Tanya idach v'chisayu melamed shekol domoi chayev lecha sois. Mikan omru damanites v'shala agafayim chayiv l'chasis. Agafayim is on the side of the wall of the neck of the animal itself. Is chayiv l'chasos. Is there any significance in the fact that he changed it? It's going to be okay. Maybe we'll see. I mean, it's it's clear that the Mikan Omru, there was definitely a member. There's a machlekes of what the member was. If Chazal said, we're going to see that there's going to be three versions in Damanitis V'Shal Gafayim Chayiv L'Chasis. There's mamish going to be three versions in that member of Damanitis V'Shal Gafayim, right? There's going to be three versions on how to do it, and it's going to be a question. It's going to be three questions on what that shita was, and now we see that there's a machlekes kufa in what the taich is. Okay, let's see. I think maybe we'll see. Okay. Amar Reb Shimon Gamliel b'midvar mamurim shlei kisa dam nefesh. Kisa dam nefesh patam l'chasis. Zokti Gemara b'mekam b'fligi. Rabbanan Savri domoi is called domoi. So you have to do everything. So your mamish have to do the dam nefesh. You have to do damanitis or dam shalasakin or whatever. Rabbi Yehuda Sava Domoi Vafilu Miktzas Domoi. Any dam, as long as you have some. So Bamedvar Mamurim Shloi Kisa Dam She'ein Sham Dam Elahu Aviyesham Dam Shaloihu Patim Ilchasis. Yeah, very gishmak. And Reb Shimon Gamliel Sava Domei Am Yuchid. Yeah. That Domei Am Yuchid means that you have to do Dafka Dam HaNefesh. So since Reb Shimon Gamliel is saying Dafka Dam HaNefesh, and on that he's saying Shal Agafayim, I guess we'll say that the Pshat, and I think it's mistava to say that there's never Dam HaNefesh on there's never Dam HaNefesh on the sakin, right? The sakin comes in first, and by the time the sakin goes away, there's no Dam on the sakin. There's no Dam HaNefesh on the sakin. It comes out afterwards. So Memela, that's why Reb Shimon Gamliel's girsa of the brisa that brought down Reb Shimon Gamliel did not say dam hasakin, said dam hakavayim, because taka there's no dam hasakin, there's no dam hanefesh on the sakin ever. Yeah, good. Okay. Now, so now there's a few things to shmuz over here. There's a Rashi over here. There's two connections. First of all, Reb Shimon Gamliel Weistais holds that you need damei hamiyuchid. How do we know that Reb Shimon Gamliel does he need kol damei, or is it just enough some dam nefesh?
What does it mean damei hamiyuchid?
Damei hamiyuchid means the dam, the big one.
What's dam nefesh?
Yeah, it's the dam nefesh. That's the real damei. Yeah, that's damei is the damei hamiyuchid. That's how he learns. Now, So Rashi learns. So what are the three lashonis? What are the three shittas? Rashi learns like this: that the Tanna Kamma holds you need all the blood, and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says I need all the dam nefesh, and Rabbi Yehuda says I need just some dam. Yeah. Now, so the question is, where does Rashi get that Rabbi Shimon Gamliel needs all the dam nefesh? Maybe he just needs some of the dam nefesh. That's the question. What?
Like Rabbi Yehuda?
No, Rabbi Yehuda doesn't need afka dam nefesh. Rabbi Yehuda says some dam. Kipshuta. So very geschmack. So the Achronim are Medayik in Rashi, and the Shah is where Rashi got that from. The Achronim are Medayik in Rashi, and this is a big problem. Very geschmack, very good, you got that Rashi. Very geschmack. Rashi says, a very, very important Rashi. Rashi says, Shalosh machlokes b'davar rabbanan tzavri kulei b'oiv. Rabbi Yehuda, afilu dam hanefesh le'boi kisoi ela miktzosoi. So, let me just tell you how the Achronim learn, and then I'm gonna we'll say over how it seems like Rashi's learning. Okay, like this. The Achronim learn like this: that like Reb Shimon Gamliel, you need all the dam and nefesh, nothing else. All but Rabbi Yehuda, the Tanna Kamma holds you need all the dam, and Rabbi Yehuda holds you just need mixas dam. It doesn't matter what type. Right. The question is, where does Rashi get from that? Like Rabbi Yehuda, you need mixas. You don't need the dam and nefesh. So, where it's mashma from Yehuda that you need some mixas dam and nefesh. So I wanted to say again on that Torah. I wanted to say that the pshat is because the pasuk says ki adam or nefesh. That's how the Torah fears us afterwards. That's the reason for the whole kisei. So Mela, it's pashut. It's first in the pasuk that I need that nefesh has to get mechusa. Pashut out the end of the pasuk. That's what I wanted to say. And then there are those that say, I'm just working on that shtickle Torah, that on that mahalach, that it comes out. Oh, so how do we know that Rabbi Gamliel needs kol dam and nefesh? Very partial, because if Rabbi Yehuda also holds you need miktas, so Rabbi Gamliel is obviously arguing Rabbi Yehuda, and he holds I need kol. Yeah, very geschmack. That would be that is how the Achronim learn, and you have to say when Rabbi Yehuda, when Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says ba'amedvar mamum shaloi kisa dam hanefesh, he doesn't mean to say that he didn't shaloi kisa dam hanefesh and mainly you have to do this. What he means to say is ba'amedvar mamum that amongst that blood there is no dam hanefesh. That's how they learn. But Lamaisa, Rashi is mafurish, like when you're timing very gishmak, a whole different mahalach. That there's two tracks. Yeah, mamish mafurish. There are two tracks. There's a track of Dam HaNefesh, and there's a track of not Dam HaNefesh. Rabbi Gamliel holds, if you do Dam HaNefesh, you need all Dam HaNefesh. If you don't do Dam HaNefesh, then you do some Dam. Rabbi Yehuda holds, right? Okay, the Tanna Kamma holds you need kol dam. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel has two tracks. Rabbi Yehuda says that even if if you did dam nefesh like by kulei al mitzaseh, no, isn't it first? Shosh machlokes b'davar. Rabbanan tzavri kulei by kisei. Rabbi Yehuda afilu dam nefesh like by kisei al mitzaseh. Kedani the dam anitis patim midachas vafilu imu dam nefesh. Uvat sheisham dam. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel dam nefesh kulei by kisei. But if it's not dam nefesh, then you don't need it. Dam nefesh kulei by kisei. But if you're not doing dam nefesh, then you don't need it. You hear how I'm reading Rashi now? A whole different mahalach. But it's not okay. No one learns like that, but interesting. Okay, very interesting. We have to that's not my insight. So the shmuz is like this. So now legabe the psak, there's a big shmuz here. So really, the way Tosfos sets it up, it's interesting because Tosfos sets it up that it's mavur from Tosfos later on that our girsa lefanenu is only at the end of Tosfos v'yesh farm the garsi. Yeah, our svarim don't have the in the second brisa is where the chachamim come with their whole starkheit v'chiseu melamed shekol dam mechayev lechases, right? And on right, so that was only the second brisa had it. The first brisa didn't have it. So Tosfos is about like this. The first brisa, the way Tosfos' girsa is, the first brisa is where the Chazal, where the brisa says, "V'chiseu melamed shekol dam mechayev lechases," and on that comes Rabbi Yehuda and says, in the first brisa, Rabbi Yehuda says Amosai. So on that, this whole thing where the Tanakama says shekol dam mechayev lechases, Rabbi Yehuda comes and qualifies it, and he says Amosai. So Tosfos is bothered if Rabbi Yehuda said Amosai on your kol damai, what's the big deal? There's no. How do we know shalosh machlokes b'davar? There's no shalosh machlokes. There's only two shittas. There's Rabbi Yehuda and there's and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. I the Tanakama that says what that shekol dam mechayev lechases. Rabbi Yehuda already said Amosai on it. That is what Tosfos is more changing. So like the second, like the Yesh from the Gasi, which is our gear, so it's very gishmak because there is no Amosai on this kol dam mechayev lechases. It's only the second brisa that says kol dam mechayev lechases, and over there, and that's in the second brisa there's no Rabbi Yehuda, there's only Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Yeah, that the loy to yeshvarim the gasi our gersa l'fanenu, it's very gishmak. But like the first gersa that tells that in the first brisa also it said v'chiseu melamed shekol dam mechayev lechases, and on that Rabbi Yehuda said Amosai. So Tosfos is bothered. So Rabbi Yehuda already qualified what the Tanakama holds. So there is no shalosh machlokes. That's what Tosfos is more changing. And Tosfos' yisoid is that the rule of Amosai that kol makom she'amar Rabbi Yehuda is only kol makom she'amar Rabbi Yehuda b'mishnah seinu Amosai. But obviously, but if he says Amosai in a brisa, there's no such a rule, and therefore Rabbi Yehuda is not qualifying the brisa, and therefore, so even though in our Mishnah maybe Taken Chanami he's going at Amosai and he's qualifying the Mishnah, but in the brisa there's a brisa which doesn't, which holds, which just says kol damai, and even though Rabbi Yehuda says Amosai, he's not qualifying it. He's arguing. That's basically the cheshbon and Tosfos. This again, all different kinds of iterations. How we paskin, how we don't paskin. There's the Rif paskins like the Tanakama. The question is why he's paskin. There's a lot of shmuz in the Rishonim, the Balamar, whatever. So there's a lot of shmuz, but that's the Tosfos and that's the cheshbon and the two gersos. Okay, good, givaldik. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, good. Good. So the Mishnah. Oh, I'm just saying that this knech, that this last thing, the way we're teaching Rashi, it's very gishmak. The Reb Shimon Gamliel says, "Ba'med dvarim meburim shalei kisa dam nefesh." It's very gishmak. If you do dam nefesh, you need all the dam nefesh. If you don't do the dam nefesh, ba'med dvarim meburim, but you have to chaparayim, even the dam nitis and the dam gafayim. That's shalei kisa dam nefesh. Avik kisa dam nefesh. Oh. Pater Melechas is what? Pater Melechas is the what? The Damanit is Damalakavayim. In other words, because there's two tracks. That's how we're teaching. That's how we're teaching. It's Mashma and Rashi. It's a whole different shita. Very interesting. Okay. Ba'mem mechasim bezevel. Okay. Mechasim bezevel adak ubechol adak. Zevel adak is fine. Zevel, right? Ubechol adak is fine. Sand. Besid ubecharsis. So Rashi says on charsis is shchikas charsin, meaning you have a charis that was crushed up. Yeah. So Tosfos asks Akasha that Rashi says the charsis, or Rashi says charsis is shchikas charsin. The brisa choshev tarvayu. The brisa calls them it says two different things. Meaning it says charsis, yeah. the Mishnah. Ube megufa, becharis is ubelvena. Vena is a stone, yeah. Ube megufa, megufa is the seal that he took off off a barrel. You can't cover with zevel agas is chunky pieces of zevel. V'loi b'chol agas, and not with chunky pieces of chol. V'loi b'levena u'b'megufa shalai kachin, and then not with a stone, a brick or a megufa shalai kachin if you didn't chop it up. V'loi yichva olav zakli, and then it says v'loi yichva olav zakli. You shouldn't cover it over with a kli. Now, there's a gewaltige Morde interessante Tveres Yankiv here. The Tveres Yankiv is bothered like this. Why does it say Shleich V'Olav as a Kli? We're going to see. It's going to be mavur that be'etzem there's two halachas that learned out from offer. First of all, there's going to be a question of what kind of offer you should what's kosher for kisei adam. But besides that, there's the whole manner and the whole the be'etzem kisei could be understood in two ways. You could have kisei is something that's absorbed in the dirt. That's one way of calling it kisei. And then kisei is something that's covered over. Without the Torah saying offer, I would have thought that kisei means covered over with something over, right? But not that it has to necessarily be mixed up with the dirt, right? From the passing that it says yichasenu ba'afar is why it states that it should be absorbed in the dirt. It should mix up, right? So frekt the Tveres Yankiv, the Seder of our Mishnah is a pliya. Why? Because the Seder of our Mishnah first says lo yichase ein mechasem bezevel agas mechol agas v'lo bilveinu begufa shlei kachan. We're going to see before that a person doesn't have a shem offer, but obviously we could assume that it has it's going to mix up with the dam, and then the Mishnah says v'yichval v'zakli. That's like the yichval v'zakli is stamish gerat learning. That's I'm doing the wrong action. I'm not just using the wrong material. I'm using the wrong action. So why is the Mishnah after everything say v'lo yichval v'zakli? That's the kasha of the Tveres Yankiv. Yeah? Zok the Tveres Yankiv a gewaldige chiddush. Zok the Tveres Yankiv that our Mishnah, we're not talking about being koifel of a kli and to do kisei adam. We're talking about if somebody wants to temporarily cover it over. Zok the Tana, don't cover it over temporarily. Why? So the Tveres Yankiv I go all the shtickle tape because shmuz. There is a shmuz. We had kiso aruach patum milchasos. Right? What's the halacha of kiso aruach patum milchasos? Is that dafka with a davar shemechasim boy, or even a davar she'em mechasim boy? So the Tveres Yankiv. That the pshat is that if you go that kiso or ruach patum milchasis is even by a davar she'em mechasim, because now the ma'aser seif kol seif it's mechusa. Zok tetana, don't go be mechasit with a davar she'em mechasa, meaning like a yichval of zakli, and then afterwards with the intention of uncovering it and doing a kiso with ba'afar, because why? Because it's going to be a problem of kiso or ruach. And you're right now interrupting the kisei. That's the shtickle Torah of the Tveres Yankiv. Yeah, zokt and avdem zokt Rabbi Yashiv that even like the man the Amar. You have the cheshbon, the shtickle Torah. Zokt Rabbi Yashiv that even like the sheet that holds like kiso or ruach patum melchasis is even a davar she'em mechasim boy. Zokt Rabbi Yashiv. That's only if it's going to be in the right manner. It might be the wrong material, but it has to be the right manner. It has to be something that got mixed up. Something that didn't get mixed up. That you're not going to have a kiso or ruach patum melchasis. Yeah, very mistavid the gesvar. Yeah, very mistavid the shtickle. And Rabbi Yashiv wants to say that the pshat is Rabbi Yashiv wants to say that I. So what's the teretz of the Tveres Yankiv? It's a taka chiddush. Stam zev ein tzarich lem zeh. We have such mishnayos taka mishkin kash. That's how he's mavka the mishnah. So I just want to know if maybe we could say Al piderech, the Tveres Yankiv, but not much less lamdish, a little bit more balbatish. That the pshat is. Like the Tveres Yankiv is saying, we're talking about somebody who wants to cover it over temporarily. Don't temporarily cover it over, and then with the intention of afterwards, doing the thing. Why? Because you want it. You have to do kisa right away. Pasha, because you want to do the upper right away. Or maybe the Tveres Yankiv means the opposite, or the pshat is don't cover it over because you might forget to cover it, or maybe people will think that you covered it with a kli and not with offer. Is talking about this halacha when somebody either he's intending on doing it later, or he taka was mechasa ba'afa already. Leave it as is, right? And not like the Tveres Yankiv wanted to say that the pshat is that I'll be potter b'shas ma'isa, and therefore I'm breaking up the thing. No, I'm not going to be potter. But why shouldn't I cover it over the kli? Either because I'll forget to do the kisoi, or because the pshat is because people will think I'm being mechasa with a kli, and such a kind of a thing. That's what the Tana wants to say. That. Efsha. Okay. Sagt die mal weiter klar am Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Dav Shimon Gamliel bei Tzvachim und Mechasen bei Dav Shein Megadol Dav Shein Megadol Tzvachim ein Mechasen by. Yeah, if it's not Megadol Tzvachim ein Mechasen by, we'll see it's not daim to offer. That's a Rashi learns. To be daim to offer, it has to be Megadol Tzvachim. Sagt die mal Rechi Dami Choladak. Amar Rabba Baba Chana Amar Rabbi Yochanan Kol Shein Hayoytze Tzarech Lekoi. The guy, the yotzer, the one who's creating earthenware, is creating cheres. So the way he creates cheres is he takes dirt and he gets a glob of dirt and he has to break it up and you chop it up and it should be very, very fine. And then he adds water and he makes his mud pie that he's going to make a kli out of it. Yeah, so this yotzer ain't a tzarech kosher, ain't a yotzer tzarech l'koychay. That's something that we consider chol hadak, a very fine chol. V'ke the masni aseifa avalei mechas alei bezevel hagas v'lei bechol hagas hechidam yichol hagas amar Rabbi B'chana amar Rabbi Yochanan kol shayotzer tzarech l'koychay. When is it possible? Kol shayotzer tzarech l'koychay. So my benayu, what's the difference between these two lashonis of Rabbi B'chana and Rabbi Yochanan? So Gemara benayu the tzarech v'lo tzarech the mifrich ifruchi. If you have a dirt that's somewhat globby, but it's not in ganzen, that it just falls apart when you open it, when you touch it. You don't have to chop it. But it falls apart when you touch it. You don't have to chop it with a stick or something. It just falls apart with your hand. So what's the vart? What's the chiluk? So the way it stands like this. This mifrach ifruchi is sai tzarech and sai loy tzarech. It is both. So the question is, what Rabbi B'chana and Rabbi Yochanan said? Did he say kol she'ein tzarech, or he said kol she'tzarech? And if he said kol she'ein tzarech, he's including the tzarech ve'ein tzarech, or if he said kol she'ein tzarech, he's including the tzarech ve'ein tzarech, and therefore, so like the first lashon that he's being moisif kol she'ein tzarech, and this could be called the ein tzarech also. So therefore, even though it's a tzarech also, but it's included in the ein tzarech, so therefore it would be included and it would be meko the first lashon, and like the second lashon that it's a kol she'tzarech. Kol shetzarech. So then this is also called this is included in a tzarech, and therefore it would be also to be mechasa. Obviously, we're talking about that he wasn't mafrich. If once he's mafrich, it's pasha, it's good. Okay. So I right. Turn around. So yachol yichasenu be'avanim. Oh, yichvel v'sakli. Talmud le'mebe. Afar has to be dafka dirt. It has to be done to the afar. Ve'im li'ela. For me, Rabbi Zevel Adak, Vechol Adak, Ushchikas Avonim, Ushchikas Charsis. Ushchikas Charsis is chopped up earthenware. Noiris Pishton. Noiris Pishton is that when they made when what they do with the when they make the flax, when they make linen, so what they do is they have to comb it, and there's little fibers that come off, and it gets collected. There's a whole bunch of these fibers, so you end up with a whole bunch of this. So you want to use it to cover over. There's pishtan dakum. Una soires shel charshin. The soires shel charshin is sawdust, which is agavocha. For some reason, that's how we use it. I don't know. That's what they're always using sawdust. I guess it's the most practical way. For some reason, that's the most practical thing is to use sawdust. Una soires shel charshin dak. V'said v'charses levahanam umegufa shekach antamulema v'chisei. That so what do we see from v'chiseyu that you could use everything else also? So Rashi like this. It could have said uba afa yichasenu. It could have said that if it said uba afa yichasenu that until the pasuk introduced afar, the Torah didn't say anything about kisui. So then I would think that it has to be dafka afar to be mechasa. But from the fact that the pasuk said it the other way, the opposite way, it said yichasenu, and then it says ba'afar. So the way we darshan is yichasenu b'chol makom. And then it says offer is somewhat of a minimizing factor. Yeah, v'chiseyu. Yochash ani mar be'af zev lagas. V'chol lagas v'shchikas kli matris. U'levayna u'mega v'shelei kacham v'kembach v'suben u'morsan. Yeah. So what are these things? Kemach is flour. Subin is the junk that gets caught in the sifter, and morsan is the bran. But for some reason, I thought always that subin is morsan. Rashi over here is splitting them up. Subin is the stuff that gets caught in the sifter, and morsan is the stuff that gets caught in that is the bran that klipa yotzis kishakochim machteshes. So I'm not sure exactly. So what gets caught in this? What gets caught in the napa? I'm not sure. What's subin that gets caught in the napa? I thought that's bran. Rashi seems to say that it's two different things. I'm not sure. Tana Talmud Lema be'afar. Frekti Gemara Umar is the rabbis Zelu Hoitzi Zelu. Frekti Gemara Achasheri Bakas Miet Marbani is Elu Sheim Min Afar. Umaytzani is Elu Sheim Min Afar. These could be called Afar. Those cannot be called Afar. Frekti Gemara right Emo. Who says that we should be Marba anything? Ema v'chiseu klal. For prat, klal prat in the b'chala, but mashu b'prat offer in midi achrini lo. Amrav Mori should have a klal hatzarich leprat. V'chol klal hatzarich leprat ain't done in oisei b'klalu prat. So Rashi explains, and this is how Tosfos goes in the first shita, that the pshat is that since offer has two roles here, since offer is also defining what the kisei is not completely independent. Why is kisei not completely independent? Because I would think with kisei that you could just cover it over the kli, that it doesn't have to be mixed up, and offer comes to explain the kisei. So once offer is coming to explain the kisei, so then it's not the pshat. So then you don't don ein b'chal mashu b'prat. You learn it differently. You learn it that the pshat is you learn it as a riba and a miyut. Your marva is elu, or miyut is elu. Yeah, it's not the vart that we don't learn anything from it. We still learn some things from it. We learn things from it from the fact that the Torah said the kiseu and then ba'afar. It didn't say ba'afar yichasenu. It said the kiseu and then ba'afar. So we do learn out something from the kiseu and from ba'afar. But we don't learn it out from a klal. We don't learn it out from a klal prat, because a klal prat is only if the pshat is the klal would have been completely independent without the the prat, and then the prat comes here. What's the prat coming for? If the prat is coming here after a completely self-sufficient klal, then you say ein b'chlal mashu prat, that the prat is only coming to completely minimize the klal. But now that but since in this case the prat is doing other things as well, so you don't say klal prat ein b'chlal mashu prat. Yeah, good. So the shaila is, what is Nachman by Yitzchak doing other than our Mishnah? Reb Shimon Gamliel already said that what? That Davar shemegadol by tzmachim mechasim by Davar she'em megadol by tzmachim em mechasim by. Yeah, that's the question of the pshatava of Reb Nachman bar Reb Chizda. Yeah, Reb Nachman bar Chizda said em mechasim by Davar she'zoyrim by umatzmiach. Yeah, that's the question of what is Reb Nachman bar Reb Chizda coming to be marabeh. Yeah, there's I think four pshatim in this thing. What's this davar shemegaldim by umatzmiach? Yeah, shezorim by umatzmiach. What's the difference from Shimon Gamliel? So there's one mahalach in the Rishonim, in general, that the pshat is that they hold that the Shimon Gamliel from our Mishnah is it could be chalik. Taken Echanabi. He's not explaining, right? And since Reb Shimon Gamliel is chalik, so Mamela, there's no raya from there. We have to bring a raya from something else. Yeah, from Nachman bar Rav Chizda can't bring a raya from our Mishnah because our Mishnah is what's called is the same concept, but he's being chalik in the Mishnah, or he could say that he's being chalik. And Mamela, yeah, that's one mahalach in the Rishonim. But Tosfos and Rashi don't seem to be going like that. Tosfos has two turutzim. Tosfos is like this: that shezorim bayu matzmiach is a different level than Reb Shimon Gamliel. Reb Shimon Gamliel just said she'em begadol b'yitzrachim, meaning that things grow. And in the Lamaisa, cactuses, whatever things do grow on their own, but they do grow even in the midbar. So he's up Tosfos. But so Memela to be mekayim to satisfy Reb Shimon Gamliel's requirement, you have that in the midbar as well. But shemegadlam bayu shezorim bayu matzmiach, that doesn't happen in the midbar, and Memela, that's where he's coming to be Mosif. That's Tosfos' first teretz. His second teretz is that the pshat is that the Tosfos' second teretz is that that l'maisa soif kol soif, it's all dirt. Yeah, it's all dirt, and memela all dirt is included in a midbar, and memela. I would have thought that from our Mishnah is included. Yeah, which is really ke'en Rashi's pshat. Rashi says, what does Rashi say? Rashi says lim'ute eretz melecha, right? What does he mean? He means that the pshat is the dirt is good, but there's also salt is mixed into it, and memela because there's salt mixed into it, so memela it's not going to work. But not that the pshat is that there's no dirt. There is dirt, but there's a melecha mixed in, right? That's ke'en Tosfos mahalach. Now Tosfos wants to know. There's a very interesting shtickle over here. Tosfos wants to know, and this is where there's tons of raid. What is the story in the midbar? Do things grow or do they not grow? And the problem is like this: the Gemara talks about if you crush up avodah zarah or not. And the shakavatay in the Gemara is bring a rye from the egel that Moshe Rabbeinu crushed it up, and the shaila is that some man the Amrim hold you can't crush up avodah zarah, because you're going to crush up avodah zarah, then people are going to plant from it, and they're going to be nene from avodah zarah. You don't want that, right? So Gemara says, what do you mean? But the Moshe Rabbeinu did it. Yeah, that's the shakavatay in the Gemara. Frak Tosfos, what's the question from Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu did it in the midbar. In the midbar, nothing grows. That is the shmuz of Tosfos. Zok Toises Ateretz. Zok Toises Ateretz. That what? V'yesh lema the Shema Oz Kishebo Sham Yisrael Hayam Matzmiach. That avada in a midbar it doesn't grow, but Shema Kishebo Sham Yisrael Hayam Matzmiach. So the Velt learns in Rashi that the Pshat is the Amid Roshim that b'derech Nes things happen als be'er Shal Miriam. Frekter Hashash. Frekter Hashash. So what's the taich of Chazal? What's the taich of the pasuk where it says Lo Mekayim Zera? What do you mean Lo Mekayim Zera? What do you mean it's Mekayim Zera? Miriam was what's called it? Miriam, the Beresh of Miriam, and things grew. Yeah, that's the kasha. There's a lot of Torah built on this. That Lo Mekayim Zera doesn't mean that it's impossible to grow. Just Klal Yisrael didn't grow anything, Pashit, because it was very impractical. Because the pshat is because they were always on the run. They never knew when they had their Minutemen. They never knew when they were going to have to abandon camp. And Mamela, Sakta Hashash, it was never negeh to plant. But not in Lo Mekayim Zera that it's impossible to grow. Lo Mekayim Zera that we do not plant. That's the word. There's a lot of Torah that's built on the shtickle, on this Rashash. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, we're moving on? Yeah. Zakti Yomar. So he said, this is wrong. My Baruch say, what's the wrong with it? I said it, and I said it from this following brisa. That what it says, the Eloi Afer or Ofar Lechasois Shoichek Dinner Zav. What does he do? Somebody is mahalach b'midbar. Ve'eloi offer lechasos. So what should he do? He should be shoichek a dinner zav u'mechasa. He crushes up a dinner zav and he is mechasa. So what do we bring from here? Right? Is a raya. What's the problem with the midbar? Why are you not mechasa with all the vast dirt in the midbar? The teretz is that what that you can't be mechasa el b'davar shazer b'rei matzmiach. Hayim alach v'sine ve'eli offer lechasais soyrif talisai u'mechasa. Bishlam served at least in Mechasa Zaktimor Stamzei Ashkechan Afer the Gikri offer. We're going to see later on that it says it's when it says the Afer Seif is a chat it says offer Seif is a chat. So you see that Afer ash is called offer, is called dirt. El Din is of Minel and Amrav Zera the Afrois Zahav Loi. It's a pasuk in Ev that it says that it calls Zav Afrois Zav. Now. Over here they ask a kasha, why did Reb Zeri use the pasuk of Afrei Zav Loi? Why didn't he use the pasuk of Dak La'afar, where by Moshe Rabbeinu made the what's called it Dak La'afar? He made the egel Dak La'afar, a golden afer into offer. Should have said that. Yeah. So that one of the tzortzim is that the egel was burnt first. So first he burnt it. So maybe over there it's negeh that it's offered. That wouldn't be a raya. There's another two shmuz in here. First of all, this eitz of being sheichik a dinner zav. Could you use the dinner zav afterwards? So I saw somebody say that you'll obviously take it along, and then you'll take at the end you'll somehow put it together again, but it's not going to be the dinner zav. So I don't know what you're going to help. I mean, it's going to, but at least you'll have the value of the gold itself. You'll have the gold. You still have the gold dust. Okay. Now there is a massive, very, very, very important Mordechai. That this is the Mordechai that the Beis Yosef, all the Achronim talk about this major Mordechai. Mordechai says like this: what happens if somebody is going on the derech and he's on a svina and he does and his the oif is worth more than his his beged and his beged is worth more than the oif, and he's not ready to burn up a beged for this oif. So the lashon of the Mordechai is that maybe it's a takana or something. What should you do? He says like this. He says, make a bracha, shecht over one of your begadim. Don't burn anything. Shecht over one of your begadim. Your beged will absorb the blood. You make a bracha on kisui for this temporary kisui. Then, when you get to a place where you have dirt, when you dak, you'll soak the beged in water, and it'll come out. It'll have admara admimos, and then you'll be mechasa. This is the eitzah of the goinim, takana from the Mordechai. So the Beis Yosef is matmiya mishnei taimim on this Mordechai. First of all, his problem is from our Gemara. Why now? Why the Gemara saying? Why the Gemara said about tashchis that the guy should go? The Gemara forced him to go crush a dinner zav or to burn up a beged. Why didn't the Gemara say this eitzah? Just do it over a beged. Let this beged somehow. It's like a way of preserving, like somehow putting it in a time capsule, so preserving the blood. I haven't married the eitzah. I'll just let a beged absorb, and then afterwards I'll dissolve it and I'll be machasa. Why did our Mishnah force him to do something so tragic? That is one kasha Beis Yosef asked, and the other kasha Beis Yosef is very bothered by is, how can I make the bracha b'chal? How can I go make a bracha now before I'm making a kisei? L'chura, I'm not making the kisei now. I'm not doing ba'afar. I'm only putting it in to a temporary holding place. Yeah, that's the problem with the Beis Yosef. So over there, the achronim are mayrich to discuss if it's a dimyan to the bracha that we make by of al bir chametz before the bedika. L'chura over there also, I'm not doing the beer yet. I'm not doing the beer until tomorrow afternoon. And still, I make the bracha now because it's the beginning. So over here also, this is the beginning. He's just collecting the blood now, and he's going to make the kisoi when he gets to a shore. But this is the beginning. Let him make the bracha. Yeah. So they want to say. So the achronim say no. You can't shtel to. Why? Because by bedikas chametz, where the word is. Yeah, I think this is okay. This is the Beis Yosef's taina, and the Ramah says that you find it by b'digas chametz, and the way to be miyashiv why the mechaber is not masking to this cheshbon is very partial, because the pshat is by b'digas chametz there's no other way to do it except through the b'dika tonight. So since that's the way to do it is through the b'dikas chametz, so it makes sense that the bracha will start now. Mashenkin over here by the kisei, it's not the pshat. There's no other way to do it. Avad, there's a way to do it. You can go burn up your beged. You just don't want to burn up your beged. It's too expensive. So you don't want to burn up your beged. So you can't say that the pshat is it's starting now. It didn't start now. Yeah, l'maisa, how exactly what we do if in case somebody has this issue. Should call your local rabbi. I mean, but it's mashma pretty clear that what I think the Levush Paskins he should do it, but just make the bracha afterwards. Okay, let's go weiter. So tomorrow weiter. Tanur Rabbanan and Mechasen Elaba for the Rebbe Shammai V'Salem and Matzino Efer Shekairin Ofar Shenema V'Lacha Latamim Efer Sveifas Haparas. So you see by over there we're talking about it was clearly ash, and it still calls it Ofar. So Vais says that ash is considered Ofar. Ubeshami Ofar. Ubeshami argues and they say. Afar Sreifa Ikri, but Afar Samale Ikri, and therefore it's not called Afar, and therefore it's Bashami argues, and they hold you wouldn't be able to use that. Tana, you see for all of Hashachor v'Chol. Yeah, so Chol we know what that is, right? And but Shachor Rashi says is chopped up coal. And chol is blue eye makeup. V'nikras pisulim is some kind of a special kind of a dirt that they use to clean up the rechaim. I'm not sure what it was. V'yesh af hazarnik which is another kind of a mineral that they mined. Amar Rav, now we go a little bit I got the Gemaras, and
Start tomorrow.
what?
I need the bed.
You want to write Amar Rav B'schar Shomar Amar Avram Avinu Vanochi Ofa ve'Efer Zochu Banav l'Shtei Mitzvos Efer Para ve'Ofa Seita. Fragt die Gemara v'lichshev nami Afar Kisa Yadam. Why didn't he also include Afar Kisa Yadam? The Kisa Yadam is done by Afar. And Agavocha the Achronim ask a kasha that why did he take us? But I was just going to mention that L'chura doesn't have to be dafka offer. The Torah says, Vice says that there all has a Shem offer. Yeah, but look, Shem offer Kisei Adam, ever Kisei Adam. So the Hasam Hechshem Mitzvah Ika Hano Leko. Hechshem Mitzvah Ika Hano Leko. Why is it called Hechshem Mitzvah Ika Hano Leko? What's the word? So Rashi explains because the pshat is because what's the problem? Before the mitzvah of Kisei Adam, there wouldn't be any. You would still be able to eat. Mashen Kain, by Toma and Soita. Before the Torah introduced Efa Paran and Efa Soita, I could still. But he's either Tommy and he's Tommy forever, or Efa Soita. They're in a big fight, and these eitzes are eitzes that are helping out. Now Agavocha. So the shaila is, do we? But the Achronim explain, this is the Pshatova, that the word is not that the Pshat is we could bring a raya from here that without even if somebody doesn't have offer the Kisei Adam, he has no problem eating. From the Smashma and the Gemara that he has no hana from it because he could eat even without it. What we mean to say is that even before the Isser, before the Torah introduced Kisei, we would have been able to eat it. When the Torah introduced the din of Kisei, now obviously you can't eat unless you do the mitzvah. V'yamarava schar she'amar Avram Avinu b'schar she'amar Avram Avinu imichut v'atzreich na'al zachul banav l'shtei mitzvahs l'chut shel techeles or ritzuah shel tefillin. And Kig says that from here is the pshat why we do why we tie our shoes ke'en tefillin. What does this kshira have to do with that kshira? So pashtus the word is because that's the spitz kshira that we do is tefillin. But Krega says the reason is because of this gemara that the chutz tzreich nal is the source of Ritzuah Shel Tefillin, so that's why when we put on tefillin, when we put on shoes, we should do it ke'en tefillin. Yeah, so frankly, Gemara Bishlam Ritzuah Shel Tefillin Ksivro Kolam Yaretz Kishem Hashem Nikra Lecha V'Tanya Reb Lezer Gav Lemeil Tefillin Shabarayshel L'chut Shel Tcheles Ma'hi. What do you mean Ma'hi? Now what's the Hana? So who says you can have Hana? Who says you can have Hana? So Kipshutai, the Achronim say that the Gemara before said that these are Hana and these are not Hana. So Memela, from there is a raya that you assume there's Hana. I think that the Pshat is Michut V'Atzreich Nal, that it's clear that he said Michut V'Atzreich Nal, and on that we answered back that he doesn't have Hana. That we're not going to have, that the Eibishter gave him a different Hana. But anyway, so El Tzul Shabaresh El Chut Shel Tcheles Mahi the Tanya Reb Meir Omer Man Nishtan Tcheles Mikol Hatzavonim Neshet Tcheles Dem Liyam V'Yam Dem L'Rukia Dem Levin Saper Levin Saper Dem L'Kisakov D'Chsev Rog Es Kol Elakei Sov Tachas Raglov Uksiv Kemari Evan Saper Dmos Kisei. So what do we see from there? So Rashi explains that the pshat is that it goes the other way also, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's mistakel b'kisoi and he remembers Klal Yisrael's tzitzis and that's the chiddush, and that's what the hana that Klal Yisrael has. I just don't know why Rashi says shatcheles dem liyam. Rashi does not talk about the color of the tzavoinin. Rashi says sha'achalozin min hayamu oila achas l'shem shana umaris damei doim liyam. For some reason, Rashi didn't talk about the blood. He talks about the fact that the chalazin is min hayamu oila. Okay.